All right, Shaun, let's get to it. The news of the day, really the most exciting thing, certainly in the second round of the draft, and Rob G is going to bring us up to speed. Bronny James to the Lakers to play with his dad. Rob G, set the stage.
With the 55th pick in the 2024 NBA Draft, the Los Angeles Lakers select Bronny James from the University of Southern California.
That's right. The shocker of all shockers in the world of NBA. Bronny James going 55th to the Los Angeles Lakers.
Wow.
And if you've been following the news updates all day long like I have, then you know that this pick is not without controversy because early in the second round, ESPN reported that Rich Paul was calling and texting GMs around the league saying, if you draft Bronny before the Lakers do, we are sending him to Australia. You are not going to be taking Bronny James. And obviously that caused a big firestorm both on real media and on social media, which is interesting because 3 years ago, the Lakers got Austin Reeves in the exact same fashion. He was falling in the draft. His agent called people and said, hey, don't take Austin Reeves. We wanted to be an undrafted free agent because we have a team lined up ready to sign him. That's what happened here with Bronny James. Only this time they took him with the 55th pick.
Well, there you have it, Shaun. And look, I'm going to say this. I'm not mad at Rich Paul. If you've got the power, if you've got the juice, use it. And I'm going to be honest, off the court, it has been rare that African Americans have had this kind of juice. It's nepotism for sure. I mean, I don't know that Bronny James gets drafted if his dad isn't LeBron James. I don't know that the Lakers, I'm leaning no, that the Lakers draft him if his dad isn't LeBron James. But ever heard of David Adelman? Hot young name now in the coaching market, assistant coach. Guess who his dad is? Rick Adelman. Ever heard of Michael Malone, who led the Denver Nuggets to the championship last year? Guess who his dad was? A longtime NBA coach, Michael Malone, or Brendan Malone. And that's just to name a few. All right, Donnie Nelson Jr., remember, used to coach the Mavericks. His dad was Donnie Nelson Sr., the NBA Hall of Famer. Like, this is all throughout the NBA. Even on the court, you see Giannis's brother playing with the Bucks. J.R. Smith, who was not a star, his brother had a cup of coffee with the Knicks for a little while when J.R. was there. It happens. And as Rob G pointed out, Austin Reeves and his agent did it 3 years ago. And Rich Paul, look, there was talk, Shaun, that some team might draft Bronny and try to hold up the Lakers and say, look, we'll give you Bronny for 2 second-round picks or something like that. And I was saying on First Things First, look, wouldn't be wise because Rich Paul's got 35 players in the league, a lot of them top players, and he's not the only agent with that type of power. But you can wield, you don't want to get on the bad side of some of these agents. Jeff Schwartz is a powerful one. You know, Aaron Mintz, Austin Brown, Bill Duffy. So there are some powerful agents out there, and he used his power and his juice to really make a dream come true for LeBron, and I think a dream come true for Bronny to just get into the NBA. And now it is up to Bronny to make the most of it.
You know, it's interesting because it's a fascinating topic because there's so many different dynamics. Like you brought up the power vacuum that Rich Paul has created because not just of the amount of players that he has, but the caliber and how he controls destinations and where marquee guys end up going. You talked about LeBron having stated his goal ultimately was to play with his son before he left the game of basketball. I don't think it's any of those things, Chris. I think it's just envy, jealousy, and hate. Like, people are up in arms. Who did Bronny go in front of that people are so mad about? Like, who in the second round was such a great player that even if Bronny would have went first pick of the second round? The NBA drafts unknown talent every year. I remember the lottery yesterday. I'm listening to it, and it seemed almost every player, the dialogue and evaluation was the same. Probably someone that's not going to contribute immediately, come off the bench, maybe a G League development. I mean, come on, that's what the NBA has turned into. People just want to either love or hate LeBron, but they have a strong opinion either way. I'm happy that Bronny got a chance to realize his dream of being drafted. I'm glad it's with his dad, and I think Bronny's going to be a damn good player. I'm in a group chat.
So what do you mean, damn good player? What does that mean?
I would take Bronny right now one-on-one versus Gabe Vincent, who the Lakers signed last year in free agency to a 3-year, $33 million deal. It's not like Bronny can't play.
Ain't what it's about. I don't care who the best one-on-one player. You think right now, Bronny James is better than Gabe Vincent?
Yeah, I'd take Bronny right now. I think Bronny's a good player, Chris. You got to think
I'm not saying he's not a good player. To say right, I don't know what evidence other than his genes that you have, and I will give him grace on his first year, freshman year at USC, where he averaged less than 5 points a game. Shot, I believe, below 40% from the floor. I'll give him grace on that because we all know he went through, the cardiac arrest.
The health condition,
so I definitely think that had an impact. But still, he shot 36% from the floor, 26% from three. There's no way right now I would say he's better than a Gabe Vincent. Now, hopefully he gets there. But.
I pick Gabe because height-wise, they're similar. It's hard to put him up against something. I mean, if he does have one deficiency that he probably can't overcome, it's his height. But, I mean, look how he shot the ball at the NBA Combine. I think he has handle. I think he has elite athleticism for a guy his size. I think the one thing that Bronny has not developed, and it's interesting because I think it's what held his dad back, I don't think he's really turned into a true alpha dog yet. Hey, give me the ball. I'm going to take shots. I'm going to score, which really mimics LeBron in a lot of ways. So I think Bronny tries so hard to fit in and be liked that he really hadn't developed it, but I think it's there. It'll come out. I'm going to be on the other side of this. I think Bronny is going to develop into a pretty good player.
Like an all-star caliber player?
Maybe fringe. Only reason I say fringe is because there's some dynamic guards in front of him when you talk all-star team that he'd have to beat out in the West. So, I mean, I don't know what that looks like as far as making an all-star team. But he's going to be a solid, I think, if not starter, first off the bench kind of guy. He's going to play defense, give you good minutes, stay out of trouble, be good for your locker room. What is he, 18, 19?
There was an article by Tom Haberstroh, who we had on the show last week. I worked with him at the old network, great reporter. And he talked about how the Suns' legacies, right, the Seth Curry. We're not even talking about Steph and Del Curry, because Steph obviously was just ultra talented.
Right.
But Seth Curry, who had to really fight to get in the league.
Had a great career so far.
Sons, Jalen Brunson, whose dad Rick was a journeyman in the NBA. And
the
so on and so
Hardaways.
forth.
The Grants.
The story was that the legacies, the kids of NBA players, they outperform their draft slot. So in this case, Bronny's drafted 55th. He will be better than the 55th pick in a draft typically is. And it was about 30% of the time that happens, but that was higher than most other situations for players that aren't legacy. So, look, I think he will be a solid rotation player at some point. I don't know how soon. I think he's a very good athlete. I don't think he's a freak athlete, which is kind of what you need to be at that size, maybe 6'2"-ish. Because he's not I kind of feel like, I want to see him be a true point.
I agree.
He's got, I don't know, I'm not saying he has it to the level of his dad, the court vision and the intelligence and the cerebral. I remember first time I saw him play in high school and he was just a freshman coming off the bench. But I said, man, you can see he sees the game somewhat like his dad. He's certainly seeing it on a level that the rest of these guys, and some of them were high school All-Americans who were older than him, aren't seeing it. So I kind of would like to see him as a point guard. That obviously is his size. I think to be a 2 at that size, you kind of got to be freakish or maybe just a phenomenal shooter, which he's not at this point. But I do think he can be a hard-nosed defender who gets after it and can hit the three relatively well. And that, at least initially, Shaun, is going to be how he gets on the court. And then once he solidifies himself as a rotation player, then you can start adding the other things to your game that might take you beyond that.
How much credence do you put into his ability to shoot the basketball at the NBA Combine? Because he shot it at an elite
not
level.
Not a ton. I mean, I think it was fine, but, you know, I'm put more credence in his performance throughout the season. And again, give him some grace because I know he was in a tough situation, but I'm not going to just, I mean, he shot it tremendously without, in the drills, without the defense.
And let me ask you a question.
So I think there's a difference there.
Sometimes we say things and I have to go and double check what I say to make sure that, the data backs up my opinion. People talking about having to be such an elite athlete at Bronny's height. I mean, Peyton Pritchard is contributing for the Celtics. They just won a world championship. He's not an elite athlete.
He doesn't shoot it yet like Peyton.
T.J. McConnell. He's not an elite athlete. He can't shoot at all.
But we say
Mike Conley's only 6 foot.
But here's the thing. Mike Conley was a point guard. That's what I'm saying. You don't have to be a super elite athlete at 6'2" to play point. I don't think Kyrie Irving is like a super elite athlete. When I say super elite, I'm talking about being 6'1", 6'2", and essentially being a two guard.
Mm-hmm.
Allen Iverson. He was freakish athletically. That's why he could do it. Can he be a Peyton Pritchard? I think one day, sure.
Right, and
but
if you ask the Celtics,
that ain't no great player.
Yeah, but if you ask the Celtics, is Peyton Pritchard worth the 55th pick in the draft? They would say, hell yeah.
Well, we think he'll overperform the 55th pick. But, I mean, if your bar is Peyton Pritchard, T.J. McConnell, a backup point guard. I mean,
which is fine.
He could be that. But you said it like, that's why I had to see what you talking about, because you said special or very good. Like I think he's
going to be better than those guys. I use those guys as examples because I think Bronny's a better athlete than all three guys I named.
Well, I'm not down on Bronny James. I'm not down
stock.
on him either, but I'm just keeping it real. And you floating in the clouds a little bit, Noop. So we gonna keep it real up here. Nah, good stuff from my man Shaun King.